I'm going to be talking about transpiration, stomata, and guard cells. The first thing we have are three definitions. Definition of transpiration is the loss of water vapor from leaves and other aerial parts of the plant. Definition of a stomata is openings through which water is lost. Definition of a guard cell are the cells that are used in opening and closing the stomata. Transpired water has to be replaced by the intake of water from the roots. Guard cells open and close determine how much water is allowed to leave. As the water leaves, water goes up from the roots, up to the tree or the plant, and then out the leaves. More than 90% of the water that a plant takes in is lost by transpiration. What are some uses for the transpiration? Well, this column of water provides, first one is minerals, second one water necessary for photosynthesis, third one involved in cooling sun-drenched leaves. Next thing to discuss is how transpiration is affected by the following environmental factors. That is from a chart in your book. So if you would just copy those down from the chart, you'll be set. These are the factors, and those are the effects. So you can pause this and read this through the video. Next, we'll talk about specialized plants. A specialized plant that we can have is a xerophytes. They are plants that are adapted to dry climates. How are they different? They have small, thick leaves, so this decreases the surface area. They have least number of stomata, which is going to obviously decrease the water loss. The stomata are in crypts or in pits. And so if you see a drawing, if you put it in a pit, the humidity is going to stay high in this area, which will cause less water to evaporate. And so it's another way these plants have adapted. Of course, they have the thick cuticle to keep water in, keep it from evaporating through the leaves. They have hair-like cells that trap water in around the stomata. In the dry mulch, they'll shed their leaves, which obviously will keep water in. A cactus is going to have fleshy parts that help store water. And then a neat thing is the CAM photosynthesis. They can actually close the stomata during the day when it's hot, which obviously keep water in. And there's also the C4 plants that have stomata open during the day, but take in carbon dioxide at a more rapid rate. So these are specializations that plants that are in dry climates have to have. One thing we could do for the stomata, if we wanted to keep water in, is obviously we could just close it. Closing the stomata is only possible for a short-term basis. This is because carbon dioxide must enter the mesophyll region of the leaf so that photosynthesis can occur. So we have to allow the gases to move in and out of the leaves. So we can't keep the stomata closed all the time. Next part we'll look at is how do these stomata open and close. They open and close due to the amount of water in the guard cells, which is called turgor pressure. When cells take in water, they swell and bulge to the outside. This opens the stomata. When the guard cells lose water, they're going to sag, and that will close the stomata. And so you can see in the diagram, water when it's full, the stomata is open. As water leaves, they close. So how can a plant keep track of how much water is going to enter and leave? What it uses, obviously the gain and loss of water is through the guard cells, but it's largely due to the transport of potassium ions. And so potassium ions are going to be used through active transport, so it's going to involve ATP, transporting potassium into the cells. So let's look at the diagram I have to the side here. If we have a high amount of potassium inside, water is going to flow inside, which will open the guard cells. If potassium pumps allow potassium to flow out, water will also flow out, and that will close the guard cells. Well, what is there's got to be something in control of the potassium in, and that is the abscisic acid cause potassium ions to rapidly diffuse. And so the plant will use this as the abscisic acid in order to tell the plant when to open and close the guard cells by using the potassium.